Hey guys, check out John coming at you with a Path of Exile video. Now, this video is going to be all about the stash tabs and Path of Exile, and the purpose of this video is to help existing Path of Exile players out there kind of understand, break down, and digest the available stash tabs in Path of Exile. For two, this is also going to be for my Diablo 4 players who will come from my channel, who are very curious how does this work and what the quality of life that Path of Exile has to offer that Diablo 4 doesn't really have, right? So let's go ahead and break it down so that way you guys all understand and know what the use case is of stash tabs, how to utilize them, right? Because one of the biggest things is why I purchased something. If you have no idea how to use it, there are a few buttons and a few settings you want to go ahead and adjust that I'm going to break down and explain to you guys so that way you can understand exactly what to do with stash tabs in Path of Exile. All right, so let's first dive in with what stash tabs I have, how I set mine up, so that way you guys can kind of see, and then we'll cover cost, how to get them, what ones make the most sense, and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and start by this is my hideout. Currently, I don't have a very immaculate hideout. It's a synthesis hideout that I basically cleared everything out, put a map device in, lined up my characters, my waypoints, my crafting areas are over here. Nothing major. I'm not one of those people who builds all the things in their hideouts. So first things first, if we go over to the stash here, you can see we have all these tabs. So you have a massive, or you have a basic utility one here. But what you saw there was these were the big tabs. These were definitely the, what do they call these? The premium quad tabs, I believe is what they call these. And I have a few of these, and I have these for a specific reason that we will dive into. But in the game, you start out with, 4 stash tabs, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's these ones here. It's the ones that, unfortunately, no matter how hard you try, you can never really rename. And unfortunately, that's kind of a rip. Now, one thing that is nice, though, is they do give you 4 stash tabs, and you can utilize them in such a way. For example, if we were to go ahead and say this is number 1, so let's go 4, 2... Oh, crap. 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm doing it in that order because with the right click, it puts them to the top row. It's kind of a stupid system. Unfortunately, you would think you could drag and drop them, but you can't. It is what it is. But this way, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have all my other tabs. So these are the starting tabs that you get here. I don't really have a whole lot into them. I don't typically use a lot of them in general. But what you can do is if you are someone who's new to the game, you don't necessarily want to buy stash tabs, it may be advantageous for you to go ahead and assign them with affinities. What does this mean? So let's first talk about turning that option on. So stash options, you'll see here at the top here, if you hit the cog wheel, right? The cog wheel, you also have create new folder here, which will create folders within them. If you say stash options, enable tab affinities. One, this enables the option to do tab affinities. Affinity auto navigation. What this means is if you shift left click, it'll automatically open up the screen that you're trying to shove everything to, or you could do it passively in the background, meaning if I uncheck that and I were to say do, shift left click, notice that I can do this, or actually if I just control left click is actually what it is. I don't know why it says, does that really say shift left click? Yep, it says shift left. Oh, control plus shift, yeah, whatever. Anyways, but you notice that it doesn't go to that tab. But if I turn this option on, you can see put it here, and now it goes to the tab. That's the point I was trying to make here for you. But in general, that's an option here, and you want to make sure you turn the affinities on. The reason why I was able to do that with my currency tab is because I currently have on my currency tab, if I click on it and I right click, affinity only has one currency because it's a specific tab for the game. You can also have multiple currency tabs. You can make one public for if you want to sell, say, resources. That gets a little confusing. Definitely keep that in mind if you're trying to do things. Basically, anytime you hit the public here, it basically enables price for everything, and then you go from there. I'm not going to do that on a currency tab. That's my currency that I'm going to use to buy other things in the game. But in general, you can assign affinities. So what I would definitely recommend is if you have someone stash tabs out there, I would definitely recommend a currency tab for one. That's a must have. Map tab is number 2. Definitely want a map tab. And I would say after that it's kind of hit and miss on whichever. Div cards are good to have. You can also do multi, I think you can have multiple selections here. So say you want to make one that is just currency and say delve, for instance, you can do that. And by selecting these, it's any items that go into that affiliation will go ahead and go to this tab automatically with that control left click function once you enable it up here. That's the biggest part or biggest takeaway of this, is by enabling this functionality, you can then use the quality of life things that Path of Exile gives you. When we move on here, currency tab is probably the most #1 sought after tab out there. It's the one that makes the most sense to get right off the rip. Div card tabs, to utilize these, you can go to full stacks here, owned, unowned, all, or full stacks. I do full stacks so that way I'm not bothered by what I don't have. I just know that, hey, I have a full stack, I can go ahead and turn it in. Map tab is also massive, it's huge. There's tier 16 maps and unique maps, so there is a lot of space that needs to be recorded in here, and you want to make sure that you have all these full or available, so that way you can then fill them all up down at the bottom, or else your maps could get out of hand very quickly. Your blight tab is going to be your blight maps. You're going to get very little of these. This tab itself is kind of like a luxury. It's not really one that you really need to need to utilize. The gym tab, I'm actually finding to be the most useful tab that I've been using a lot here. Honestly, if I had to rank it, it's very, very useful. Mainly because I can sort gems early, easier. I feel better about picking up every gem and then putting in here, because I will typically build 2 to 3 different character builds in a season or in a league. So this allows me to go ahead and organize these a lot better and know which ones I do have and which ones I don't have, and just sorting quality of life here is just insanely good. Once again, you do have to right click on the tab and set whether it's going to be public and the affinity here. And if you don't do this affinity step, these tabs will not automatically work. Keep that in mind, because if you buy these tabs until you do this step, this will not work. Also, if you buy these tabs and you do not set this up in standard mode, the next league you will have to reset up all of your affinities for all of your tabs. So if you find a very good rhythm that you like, say in a season for 1, 2, 3, 4, and you don't buy any premium ones, you want to make sure that you take whatever those assignments are and create a standard league character, or wait until your character goes into standard league, which will be after every season, and go ahead and reset up those affinities each time, so that way you don't have to keep doing this over and over again. It took me about 2 leagues before I finally did it, and it was really annoying because I have every tab. Moving forward, flask tab is it's meh. I only got it because it was a combo with the gym tab at the time of launch. It's not really anything I would recommend. You don't really need a whole lot of flask, but it's whatever. It makes less clutter in your inventory, which is nice. Essence tab, this is huge, especially if you're a crafter. You want to make sure to get this one because it makes it very easily to go ahead and know exactly what you got and store maybe the gear that you want to target as your essence. That's typically what I use this one for. Artifacts, this is going to be all unique, so this is going to be your uniques that you have out there. They can all be stored in here. You can have up to 1 of each, which is great. And then that way it also tells you what you have over here. So when you go put it over there, if it says, hey, you already have it, well, guess what? Perfect. That's great. And you can go ahead and sell the other one. Also, you can change that to owned, so that way you can see if you have a unique in whatever case. It's just a nice quality of life thing to do. Moving on, Fragment tab. Fragment tab is where you can basically store like your Breach, your Scarabs, your Eldritch Mavens, artifacts. These are, I guess it's kind of useful. I don't really utilize this tab very much. I almost never use the sacrifices, but I should. Not necessarily a must-have. Same with delirium. Delirium materials can be very heavy in the game if you are juicing up certain maps or running certain modifiers. That can drop a lot. Once again, not something you necessarily need a dedicated tab for, but it is nice to have nonetheless. Same thing with fossils for delving. Helps, but once again, not anything you have to have. And metamorph it's metamorph. But the big thing to talk about here is going to be the quad tab that you can buy. These are purchasable in the game. Now you'll notice that when I click on, say, number 1 here, and I right click, notice that there's no public option here. Basically, Path of Exile does not immediately let you start trading in the currency realm until you buy a tab that can be set to public. So notice that these are not public related. You cannot go ahead and set any of these to public. These are the free ones that you get. However, what you can do is if you get a tab, you can then set this one to public if you want, sell an item, or you buy one of these quad tabs or even a basic tab online, and this will allow you to put you trading. So now if I go ahead and say this chaos recipe one, if I right click on it, I can say public, And at that point, I can then sell anything in it, and I can also auto assign the affinities. Now, this is one I'm not going to auto assign the affinities because I have already the tabs for all these, so it would be a waste of my time. However, I do have a sell tab that I do, which is buy an offer, one chaos. This tab right here is where I will throw all my items in here. I'll set a price for them. And Path of Exile is pretty intuitive to where if someone will message you, it'll highlight the item it is in your sell tab. It's a really nice quality of life feature. But once again, this did come at a premium. This was not free. Definitely keep that in mind. But for me, I love playing the economy in Path of Exile. It's one of the most fun things for me to do. I love to go ahead and try to grind and get as much currency as I can to buy, trade, flip things. It's just fun and enjoyable for myself. Doesn't mean that you yourself will not also enjoy that. All right, so now that we've kind of shown you what ones I have, how to utilize them, what to do with them, now let's show you how much they cost and what makes the most sense. So if we go ahead and pull up the pathofexile.com, this is their website, as you can see right here. If you go to the pathofexile.com, you go to the far right to shop, you will then see where you have an option for stash tabs. So when you say shop and you go here, you will see, get this option. If you click on stash tabs like so, then you can see you have all these tabs. These represent exactly what I was just showing you. Now, right now, none of these are on sale. If you wait 2 to 3 weeks after a league start, these are usually on sale for about 20% off. Now, not all of them do go on sale, but a lot of them will. And they will also sometimes sell bundles. Notice that this one right here is a premium stash tab bundle. Add 6 extra premium tabs to your shared stash at discounted price. Premium tabs can have their name and color changed whenever you want. This also allows you to do bundles, right? So it's 200 points, stash tab bundle here. This is 6 of them for just 6 extra tabs. Once again, the difference between a tab and a quad tab is essentially space and organization. I would recommend that you buy quad tabs over standard tabs, mainly just because it's just one of those situations that makes the most sense. But notice that you have premium stash tabs, right? Which is the ones that you're gonna wanna do for selling. It makes a difference, especially like what you're trying to do. And I think the quad tab is labeled as, what's the quad tab labeled as? There it is, premium quad tab right here. This is the one that you want to buy the most of. If it was me, that's actually what I did. I would buy 1 premium quad tab, only so that way you could have a currency tab. That way you can have a for sale tab. Economy in this game is massive, and I think everyone should kind of participate and have fun with it, for example. Also, you definitely want to make sure you buy the currency tab. So right here, you're talking about 100 or 225 points for 2 tabs that make the biggest difference in this game, in my personal opinion. These 2 tabs alone are well worth it. 225 points. To put that in perspective, if you go ahead and go to buy packs, 225 will run you, what is that? Roughly 25 bucks. Yeah, about $25 if you just buy these. These are a terrible buy. Don't buy these. Don't waste any money on these. Come down here, buy a supporter pack. Not only do you get $30 for 30 points, which jives with this here, right? You also get extra cosmetics, also extra effects, so on and so forth. Like the bell tower that you just saw on mine is this one right here, Disciple Supporter Pack. I bought this for $30, gave me 300 points, and it also gave me this bell tower, which goes on fire when I lose a bunch of portals. Get your currency this way and do this. These are all supporter packs that are great, and actually the best value one is honestly one that's kind of ridiculously priced at $480, but it's the best way to get autographed cards, swag apparel, as well as it gives you everything in these other supporter packs, which is huge. So it's a massive value, but unfortunately it does cost a pretty penny. Don't recommend anyone just dive in and buy that one by any means, but it's the best fluff for your buck. But I definitely would recommend that you spend the $25 and go ahead and get a currency tab and a premium quad stash tab. This gives you 2 tabs that are game changing for quality of life things in Path of Exile. I would recommend it. It's worth it. It's a free game, 100% free to play, so you might as well go ahead and buy these, and it costs you basically $25 for the game. Now, these can also be construed as pay to win functions. I'm gonna say that's BS myself, mainly because I don't care who you are. Sure, this is nice that I don't have to organize things as well, but a lot of players will not stack crap ton of inventory and weapons and whatnot. Some players will, the more in-depth ones will, so that could be misconstrued as premium because you can left click and it'll organize everything for you. That's where the premium or the potential perceived for pay to win could be. Once again, in my personal opinion, that's a bunch of hoopla. It's quality of life things that just make playing these types of games better. Hopefully this video helps you understand how stash tabs works, how to get them set. Don't forget to use the stash tab options. Utilize this as much as you can. Take it with a grain of salt. Hopefully this helped you. If you did, make sure to enjoy the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.